Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we have two new premium ships announced via an event on the Warships community Discord. I was at work this morning when this event was going on, so I wasn't there for the live revelation of these two ships. But as you can tell by the title of this video, yes, we now have an Italian carrier announced for the game. And that is probably surprising to a lot of players, but this is a ship that I suspected would be included in the game eventually, especially given, like we've talked about before in this channel, how they are running out of real steel ships to put into this game. And of course, if they want to please a good part of the community, they will want to add in as many of these real steel historical ships as possible, and Aquila is one of them. So we'll start there with the Aquila. She's a tier 8 premium Italian carrier. And like I mentioned, this was a real steel ship. The ship was a converted liner, ironically the SS Roma. She was, well, work began on her when the war broke out. It was kind of on and off. The Regia Marina wasn't really sure if they really wanted a carrier or not. And eventually, toward the end of the war, construction was in full swing. She actually completed her first test, and then Italy surrendered. So, didn't get to see any action. The Italians did manage to sink her before the Germans could put her into any use. The Germans did seize her after the Italians surrendered, but other than that, she was partially sunk, refloated, and then scrapped, I believe, in the 50s. But this is one of the coolest things about this game, is that these ships that were either laid down, designed, or partially completed, that were never completed in real life, we get to see them finally completed and get to see what they might have been like, kind of, sort of, in this game. That's one of the coolest aspects about this game. Now, there was a second conversion that partially happened with another Italian carrier. Maybe that might be the tech line version of the ship if they go through and keep fleshing out the Italian tech tree like they have been so far. But I think it's a pretty cool addition to the game. And let's go ahead and see what they have to say about her in this dev blog. So here she is. I don't know how Italians managed to do it. Their ships always look just absolutely great. And the Aquila is no exception to that in my mind either. So they say in the dev blog, an aircraft carrier laid down for the Italian Navy during World War II, intended to be the first unit of a multi-ship class. Work on the ship was cancelled with the nation's surrender in 1943. Aquila has access to two types of squadrons, attack aircraft and torpedo bombers. The planes have low HP and relatively high speed. Each squadron of attack aircraft has a large number of planes divided into two attacking flights, and is equipped with accurate armor-piercing rockets. While the rockets deal low damage individually, a well-executed strike can deal good damage to a target. Aquila's aerial torpedoes enjoy a high base damage. So this sounds kind of like Graf Zeppelin with a little bit of the new Soviet CVs thrown in there. The very fast but very low HP pull planes. That's very much a Graf Zeppelin thing, which should be the background footage you watch right now. Had quite a fun round in the Graf Zeppelin this round, which is rare considering how bad the ship is, but it's one of my favorite CVs. So from the sound of it, well, we'll see when we get to the ship stats exactly how many planes you're going to be throwing at the enemy in each attack. But it sounds like it might be, again, kind of a little bit of an in-between of the Soviet CVs and the Graf Zeppelin. But we'll see about the torpedoes, though, if those are a large attack wave too. So it says each squadron of attack aircraft. Okay, so that, I think that's just the rocket planes. We'll see about the torpedo bombers down below. Now, this ship right here actually surprised me more than the Aquila being added in. That is the San Diego. So the San Diego, this is in Atlanta. Like, it's not how we say the Austin's the big Atlanta. This is just an Atlanta at tier 8, but they did do some tweaking with it, and some very interesting tweaking they did. An Atlanta-class cruiser with a main battery made up of dual-purpose guns during the ship's 1943 to 1944 refit. Its AA armament was reinforced with 40mm Bofor autocannons, so it's an Atlanta with more AA, it seems. San Diego is similar in some ways to the light cruiser Austin. It has unlimited charges of the main battery reload booster consumable, and it equips the hydroacoustic search and DFAA consumables in 2 separate slots. Furthermore, the ship has effective AA and access to SAP shells instead of AP. San Diego has low HP, good concealment, and 2 quadruple torpedo launchers. So yeah, this is an up-tiered Atlanta, which is interesting considering how squishy the Atlanta is by tier 6 standards. I'm sorry, tier 7 standards. I don't know how the ship's going to do at tier 8. I mean, like, you can sneeze on an Atlanta and it just disappears when it's top tier. So being tier 8, I don't know, maybe they gave this ship a heal. That would certainly help out a lot, but we'll take a look at that right now, actually, because they did include the detailed characteristics of these ships as well. So the Aquila, the tier 8 Italian CV, she has 51,100 hit points. She has 19 millimeters of armor plating. For her secondary guns, she has 8 135mm guns with a range of 6.6 kilometers, and they fire HE and not SAP. I guess they didn't want us to have another Graf Zeppelin, but with SAP. So maximum HE shell damage of these secondaries, 1950, 9% chance of causing a fire, 875 meters a second. Her AA, she has 12 by 165mm guns, and she has 22 by 6 20mm guns, so the 135s are not dual purpose, it seems. Her maximum speed is 30 knots. She has a turning circle radius of 950 meters. Talk about a frickin' ocean liner, huh? Rudder shift time 12.9 seconds. Surface detectability of 13.9 kilometers. And she gets a damage con and a... I think it's really funny though. Let me screenshot that. And the consumable slot, it just says slot 1, damage. Yes, I would like a consumable that's just called damage, please. Alright, so let's take a look at the aircraft. So the attack aircraft, they have 1,030 hit points each. They have a cruising speed of 192 knots, which is quite quick. So you get 5 aircraft in an attacking flight. Okay, you can get 10 aircraft per squadron, so 5 per run. Aircraft restoration time, 58 seconds. That's actually not bad. Detectability range of 10 kilometers. Number of aircraft on deck, 24. Rockets and payload, 12. Hold up a second. Rockets and payload 12. The maximum rocket damage is 1,150, so it is low. So hold up a second. 12 rockets in a payload, and each... Oh my god. Good god, that's 60 rockets. Oh no. So, okay, they have to have, like, mega bad dispersion, those 60 rockets. Now, the maximum rocket damage is 1,150, so, like, if by some way, like, the planets align, and you manage to get all these rockets to hit, that's, 60,000 damage, and Citadel damage. Again, that is Citadel damage, if they all Citadel, which I don't think you can fit 60 rockets into any ship Citadel that this thing's going to see, except for maybe, I don't know, frickin' Thunderer. But good god, yeah. But given their low health, you're probably going to lose a couple in the attack, in the build up to the attack. But man, that's potentially some nutter damage there. And again, it depends. Like, is this thing going to have a reticle the size of like FDR's rocket reticle, which is freaking massive? So we'll see. We'll see. It's an interesting concept. I'll give them that. Alright, the Torpedo Bombers, they have 1,150 hit points. They cruise at 169 knots, so quite slower than the rocket planes. They get 2 aircraft in an attacking flight, aircraft per squadron 8, so you get 4 attack runs in the Torpedo Bombers. Aircraft restoration time 68 seconds. 10 kilometer detectability range, number of aircraft on deck 26, and 1 torpedo per payload, so you get only 2 torps. Maximum torpedo damage, 8,367, which is fairly decent. So that's 16,000 damage and change. That's a pretty good torpedo run there. Again, that's the maximum damage, but it's decent damage. Aerial speed, 30 knots. Whew. Some slow torps, though. Definitely designed to go after battleships with those, at least. Torpedo range, 3.5 kilometers, and you have a 430-meter arming distance on the torpedoes. Now, something I'm just thinking about with the attack aircraft 2, what's the firing delay? Is it the 5-second firing delay that you get with the HE rockets, or is it the very, very, very fast delay with the AP rockets? That would have a big impact on how these perform too, because obviously the shorter delay means it's easier to aim and easier to hit what it is you're aiming at. But yeah, there's a lot of unknowns with this ship. It really depends on how big that reticle is with the attack aircraft and the firing delay on how good that's going to be. But that is some ridiculous potential alpha out of the Aquila here with the attacking aircraft. So I'm very, very, very interested to see how this goes. Alright, the American cruiser, the San Diego. So she has 27,900 hit points, 16mm plating, at 30-second fire duration time. So, of course, she gets the 8x2 127s, 16km base firing range. Good God, Atlanta wishes it could have that now. Maximum HE shell damage, not Atlanta, Flint. Flint's the one that they still have the gimped range on, my bad. Maximum HE shell damage, 1800. HE shell armor penetration, 21 millimeters. So, right there, too. This is a tier 8 ship that can only pen 21 millimeters. So that can't pen most of the battleships it's going to see. So obviously you're going to want to take IFHE, or you can build into the fire too, as well. So that's a big letdown on the ship. But again, with this American 127s, chance to cause a fire 5%. HE initial shell velocity of 792 meters. Maximum sap shell damage 2700. I completely forgot this thing has sap. Yeah, the HE doesn't matter. You have sap that can pin 36 millimeters. Yeah, so who cares about HE? Sap initial velocity 792 meters a second. Reload time 8.5 seconds. 180-degree turn time of the turret 7.2 seconds. Maximum dispersion 144 meters. Sigma 2.05. Torpedo tubes. Again, you get the 2x4s that you get on the Atlanta. Maximum damage 16,633 with only with a 4.5 kilometer range. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the same as the Atlanta and the Flint, although I think they're 4 kilometers flat, so they might be half a kilometer longer. I mean, that's self-defense torps. That's not torps you can actually use for aggressiveness. Torps go 65 knots. They reload in 87 seconds, and they're detectable from 1.3 kilometers. Alright, so her AA range, it is 5.8 kilometers her long range AA, then 3.5 you enter her mid range, and then 2 kilometers her close range. She goes 32.5 knots, turning circle radius of 610 meters, radar shift time at 7.3 seconds. She's detectable from 11.8 kilometers base, which that's freaking nice. You can build into that pretty nicely with the commander skill and the module. And consumables, so she gets damage con, DFA, main battery reload booster, and Hydro. No heal for the Tier 8 Atlanta. That is interesting. What's also interesting to note is that they do not make a statement here on what main battery reload booster she has. Is it the 50% or the 75% of the Alston? Now, since it's unlimited, I would hazard to guess, especially at Tier 8, it's probably the 50%. The 75% would be a little nutty at Tier 8 with the amount of guns that this thing has. And again, it's SAP, so it can pin 36 millimeters of armor. So yeah, that would be pretty terrifying for anything on the receiving end of this. Like we talked about with the Fort Sherman. Like, you see what enough SAP will do. And again, the amount of shells that the Fort Sherman can throw out is ridiculous with just 3 guns. And with a 75% reload time on an 8.5 second reload time, shoot, you build into that with the commander skills and modules, and then you pop a 75% main battery reload booster. That's what, 1.5, 1.3, 1.2 second reload time. So you get like a microburst of 4 Sherman RPM there for however long it might last for. I think the Austins last for what, 10 seconds, something like that. Some little microburst of just pure pain going down range. So that's interesting. It's pretty much a Tier 8 Austin at this point. And it's funny because we used to call the Austin the Tier 10 Atlanta. Now we have an Atlanta at Tier 8. It's getting called the Tier 8 Austin. So, man, how them turntables indeed. So with these 2 ships being announced, I'm pretty Well, I'm excited to see the Aquila be added in because, again, it's a historical ship, real still historical ship. And it's, again, just like the Graf Zeppelin, a CV that was about, shoot, 95, 98% done. I mean, if you look at the pictures of the Aquila from just after the war, it looks pretty close to what she has in game. And what's interesting, too, is that she should be equipped with the... Good God, speaking of aircraft, can y'all hear that? Dang. She should be equipped with the, what are they? The RE-2001s? But it looks like on the picture that we have with the dev blog, they are, I think, the 2005s. If my brief stint in War Thunder has taught me anything about Italian aircraft, they look like the 2005s. So that's interesting. We'll see. We'll see when they come out. You know exactly what it is. And I know Wargaming has been pretty liberal with aircraft and aircraft carriers, with like the Graf Zeppelin and such. She was supposed to have her Stukas, but they took that away. Yet they still gave the dive bombers the Stuka Jericho horns for some reason. So yeah. But anyway, guys, I'm pretty excited about these two ships. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm on our way to 35,000 subs, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. Hope you all have a wonderful Thursday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.